this point, most of the main elements are in place. I'm going to be going back in and adding a little bit more detailing. Also thinking about where the light's coming from. So light is coming down through this gorge. I want to add a little bit more of the sparkle stuff to this half of the tree, which would be where the light is striking. So I'm wetting it down first, and then I'm going to just let some of this green sparkly stuff spread in that liquid area, and maybe some of the gold version of it too. And I'm going to take a white gel pen and add some highlight areas along this side of the tree as well. Again, thinking of where my light is coming down through this gorge. So it would probably edge the silhouette of the tree in light along this side. And a little bit along the trunk as well. And the ground here. And then I'm going to blend out some of that white so that it's not so much a thick gel pen line as something that is shaded and melding in with the painting, with the painted aspects. Now, along with doing those highlights, I'm going to also add some into the chasm itself. Actually, let's start instead with the highlights with some slight shading definition. So I'm using the same color that I used to paint this dark green layer of the background, and I'm adding some textural elements to that layer. So these are jutting cliffs and rocky promontories. Oops. I don't want my shading here to be too defined. I want it to be just the barest hint of shape and form to these distant structures, because there's a lot of atmospheric interference that is creating this soft blended look that I just spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers building up, and I don't want to ruin that illusion by creating too much definition into these background elements. I just I just want it to be hinted at. I want structure and form to just have the barest whisper in the way things are shaded, or variations in the tone of these structures create that impression in the viewer's mind. I want to focus most of that detail as well towards the center of this V. Now these slopes, I see them as tiered elements as well. So I'm bringing down an edge over here. And another one right here. So that it feels like these rocky outcroppings are just nestled up one behind another. Again, like I mentioned, I have to be very careful not to overdo it, not to make this shading element too dark or too pronounced or too stark. It's somewhere between a glaze and dry brush is how I'm doing this shading. And then the same thing on this side. Actually, I'm not quite done with this side, I think. Maybe a little bit more over here. And then some more on that side. Again, trying to create this nestled array, moving from foreground of the sides further into the background as I edge towards the center of this chasm. Now I'm going to add the barest hint of some highlights along the central area. I use my finger to blend a little bit while the gel pen ink is still wet. Switching to a thicker gel pen. This one is much more opaque white. The one I was using before is a little bit translucent, which I like for certain aspects, for certain times when I don't want as stark of a white contrast. But over here at the brightest areas closest to where the sunlit portion of the painting is, I want the more opaque white. A little bit of contrast between the central light area and these cliffs, but also adding a little bit of that texture like I did in the green portions. Now I'm shifting to orangey yellow colors for my details